Sleepy, okay. First I want to apologize for getting the meeting started 7 minutes late. There was an error posted online, and so that's why we're starting at 10:07 instead of 10 o'clock. So we will make sure that that does not happen again. So I'd like to call to order the September 5th meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Note the presence of all three commissioners. I'd like to ask my colleague Rhea Fernandez to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So last week we gathered with childcare providers from across the county to celebrate the $3.5 million investment the county is making directly towards our childcare centers. As a part of our recovery efforts, we are awarding grants to every licensed childcare center in the county. Our recovery office was created to help our economy and communities continue to recover from the impacts of the pandemic and to grow stronger for the future. Because quality and affordable childcare is such an important part of our economy, investing in our childcare centers is a key priority, and these grants are just the first step. Montgomery County is exploring and investing in innovative ideas to sustain childcare and early education for the medium and long term, as well as to fill in gaps where services and support don't already exist. This includes a program that pioneers childcare funding and job readiness support for single parents. It also includes a program to provide childcare access to families recovering from domestic violence. We hope to share the results and successes of these programs in the near future. At the past couple of meetings, we have encouraged county employees and members of the public to donate to our annual back-to-school drive. I'm so proud to announce that this year's supply drive was the most successful ever. We received almost 11,000 items in total. So let's give a round of applause for that. We were able to sponsor or adopt my home district, Norristown Area School District, and we are supporting over 1,000 students with these donations of essential school supplies. I want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for coming out to show strong support for our students this year. Every student within Montgomery County needs to feel well prepared for the challenging school year ahead. And this is a huge demonstration of our community's support in that. And so I want to wish all of our students, teachers, and parents a successful year of learning. Next, I want to acknowledge that next Wednesday is the 23rd anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, our country's worst terrorist attack in history. We recognize September 11th as Patriot Day and reaffirm our promise to never forget the 3,000 victims who lost their lives that day. We also honor the heroic first responders who put duty above anything else that day and in the days following. We recognize their sacrifices and the sacrifices of their families. And lastly, September is Hunger Action Month, a time to raise awareness of food insecurity issues in our community. Earlier this week, we announced a $500,000 donation from the county directly to our local food pantries to support those who are food insecure. We also had the opportunity to meet with some of the hardworking community members who have dedicated their lives to closing the inequality gaps in our county. So I want to thank Shannon Isaacs of the Montgomery Anti-Hunger Network, Elaine Williams, Willow Grove Seventh-day Adventist Church Pantry, and that's the group that we saw the other day, Manera Walker from Neighbors Helping Neighbors, for meeting us, for sharing the impact of the work that they do to support our neighbors, and for everyone's hard work in reducing food poverty. You all are an inspiration to all of us. And so now I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Makija for some remarks.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. What I acknowledge, Commissioner Winder said, is that on next Wednesday is the 23rd anniversary of the September 11th attacks. Those of us old enough to remember that day will never forget it. And I think many people may not realize that there were at least 3 Montgomery County natives who we lost that day, and I'll name them. Jeffrey Allen Cole was 31 from Souderton. Lawrence Don Kim was 31, also from Bluebell. Joanna Sigmund was 25 years old from Winmore. And it's important for us to recognize and really take a moment to memorialize them and remember them today. I also want to recognize that Commissioner Winder noted a number of actions that we took this past week. This past couple weeks has been very busy, and when we think about our role as commissioners, people recognize that we invest in things like infrastructure, roads and bridges, but we've made it a priority to invest in human infrastructure, as she's noted. When it comes to childcare, childcare providers are essential to making sure that we can live our daily lives, make sure that our kids are taken care of, and by investing in childcare, as we did with the ARPA funds, $3.5 million, and all of these daycare centers, we're making a statement that we're not just investing in physical infrastructure, but in the people who make possible all of the work the county does and take care of our children and the next generation. So that was a great privilege to be there at Kids Connect, and I know there are many other daycares that are applying. It was also great to see the back to school drive, and thanks to Commissioner Winder for spearheading that and the great success that was, and just want to wish all the students there happy back to school. I know it's a really exciting time, although I know many of them are probably also dreading it, but we want to make sure everyone is prepared for the school year, and it was really delightful to see the community come together to do that. I'm excited. This Saturday I will be hosting a bike ride on the Cross County Trail in celebration of next Saturday. Thank you. So I'll go on a ride this Saturday too, but the actual hosted ride will be the 14th. I'll provide the details, but this is in celebration of the DVRPC, the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission's major $120 million investment in circuit trails throughout the Philly area. So the goal there is we're going to have 800 miles of trails across the counties, and that's funding that we actually got through the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which many people haven't recognized, but is going to make a significant difference in quality of life here. DVRPC pledged $2.5 million to extend the cross-county trail from the Germantown Pike and Chemical Road intersection in Plymouth Township to Joshua Road in White Marsh Township. The project's going to include a pedestrian bridge over Germantown Pike, and so we're going to ride in that area, and the ride's going to start at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 14th at the Cross County Trailhead at Germantown Pike. It'll go out about 6 miles out and back on the existing Cross County Trail. For those of you who want to join, please bring your bike, a helmet, and any beverages of your choosing. Mr. DeBello, any beverages of your choosing. And it is not a race, let me just emphasize, and even if others might turn it into a race, please ride at your leisure. And, you know, it's just a good time to remind everyone that the Monco Trail Challenge is going. So it began in April, and you have until December 2nd this year to explore as many trails as you can. So please check that out on our website, the Trail Challenge, and it's a good way to explore the entire county and everything that we offer. And this really is one of the most popular things that is part of the county operation, our parks and trails and the network that we have supported over the years. So hope everyone can take time to enjoy those. So the last thing I'll just note is a couple of things on elections. We're going to have an election board meeting, so you'll hear a little bit about that, so stick around. We have an announcement about, we plan to double our voter satellite offices, or at least the proposal is coming before us. And I expect it to pass, but we're also increasing the total number of drop boxes. So we're going to hear about that later on in the election board meeting. On October 1st, I'll be joining an online forum at the invitation of the League of Women Voters. It's October 1st at 1 p.m. online. It's hosted by the League of Women Voters of Lower Merion and Narberth. If anyone has election questions, I'd encourage you to join that. I'm seeing still a lot of misinformation about our elections out there, so it's really important that we make sure we gather people in forums over the next 60 days to make sure that they're aware of how to exercise their right to vote, the security of the process, and all the work we're doing to make sure that the process is accessible. So with that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner DeBello.
Definitely made me chuckle when you said bring your bike. That bike ride. So, as mentioned by Commissioner Weiner, this month is Hunger Action Month, and we've been out working. As also mentioned, that we were at the Willow Grove on Tuesday and with the $500,000 donation check. A couple weeks back, I participated in the Freedom from Hunger food drive that our partners with Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board run each year. We served over 60 people at the church, the Siloam Baptist Church in Norristown. The drive is aiming to collect 90,000 pounds of food to serve the county's families in need. Unfortunately, you know, we see the rising cost of food and all the other issues that are going on, so this need is growing throughout Montgomery County and beyond, and we encourage anyone, if able, to provide or donate to your local food pantry. Our partners with the Monco Anti-Hunger Network do excellent work, and we're proud to support them as they work to alleviate the hunger problem or issue in the county. I also, last week, was over at Springfield Township to celebrate the county's investment in Cisco Park. Springfield was awarded $130,000 through the Monco 2040 Grant Implementation Program. In this case, Springfield used the funds at Cisco Park for accessible parking, walkways, and new benches and pavilion and erosion control upgrades. So the park looks great. It serves as a reminder of the great work our Planning Commission has been doing to help municipalities improve their public spaces. In the 9+ years Monco 2040 program, they have awarded 140 grants to 53 municipalities, totaling $17.8 million. And then I too want to mention 9/11, unfortunately, is coming up. 23rd year anniversary. I think you know, for those of us that were old enough to remember, you can think back, and we all know where we were on that day at that time, especially when the first plane hit the first tower. And they say that, you know, of the 3,000 people that perished in that day, everybody has a connection some way or another to somebody that lost their life on that day. And I believe that, and I have to check because I believe he lived in Montgomery County also, but a friend of mine, his uncle, who we were friends with, perished on that day in the towers. He actually was in Tower 2 when the first plane hit. They all evacuated Tower 2. He went down, called his mother and said, "I'm safe, I'm out." And they were told and moved back into Tower 2. And unfortunately, he was up at the floors that were hit by the second plane. So I think it's important, as mentioned, that we always remember the lives we lost and the families forever changed, and Americans who first thoughts that morning will run toward the danger to help. So I hope that we see the national recognition on 9/11 next week that it so well deserves. And then a little fun fact I'll close with is Montgomery County's 240th birthday is September 10th. Like most counties, it was established as part of an effort to bring government services like justice system closer to citizens living in the area. In an address to the Pennsylvania General Assembly in early 1784, John Dickinson, the president of PA's Supreme Executive Council, said the following: "Constancy in the laws, the preservation of domestic concord, order and tranquility, and the strength sufficiently prepared for defense against injuries are essential to the happiness of the state. They are also the foundations of the reputation that invites an accession of generous and industrious people from other parts of the world to share the blessing of which such character offers them assurance. Every citizen, therefore, who respects his own interests, the welfare of his families, and the prosperity of his country will desire and endeavor that the vast importance of these subjects may perfectly understood and religiously awarded." 9 months later, Montgomery County was established. His focus was likely on the legal system, when he said, "But there are plenty of common threads that are upheld in our daily work today, 240 years later." So I just want to point out that on September 10th, Montgomery County turns 240 years old.
All right, thank you. So next up, we have a presentation on National Suicide Prevention Month by Anna Trout. Come on up.
All right, thank you so much to the Board of Commissioners for having me here today. Thanks all the civic-minded folks who are here. You might not be here for this presentation, but you didn't dart out when you heard me called up, and so that's helpful and hopeful, because part of what I'm going to talk about is that the real magic and the real impact of suicide prevention happens between friends and family members, neighbors and community members. Mental health professionals have a big role to play. I don't want to downplay that, right? We need them and they're important, but they can't help somebody that they don't know. And if we don't have people who believe in us and who are curious about us and interested in us, it's hard to find a reason to feel like we want to live another day. And suicide prevention really is not just about stopping death, it's about reasons to want to wake up the next day, right? So my name's Anna. I'm from the Department of Health and Human Services here at the county in the Office of Mental Health. And I have the privilege of helping to oversee the coordination of our suicide prevention task force, which includes a lot of folks from the county, but also a lot of people from the community. We have teachers, educators, police officers, attempt survivors, and family members. Statistically, we know someone in this room has lost somebody to suicide, somebody you knew, probably somebody that you loved. I also know more than one person in this room at some point in time has wanted to die or made an attempt to die. And maybe your friends and family know, or maybe you woke up the next day and you didn't tell anybody about it. And I don't know you and I don't know your story, but please believe me when I say I'm glad you're still here today. So I want to give you just a little bit of a snapshot of what does suicide loss in this county look like. Before I do that, before I go to the data, I want to be super clear. These data represent real people, real lives, real neighbors, right? Real families who lost someone and are grieving. We're grieving and are still grieving. And so I don't ever want it to feel disrespectful when I say a 1% increase, a 15% decrease. We're talking about real human beings, but the hope is the more we understand, the bigger impact we can have and the more lives we can save. Am I able to move? Oh, perfect. So we're very fortunate to have an incredible relationship with our coroner's office in this county and get data pretty much as close to real time as you can. If we were waiting for CDC data, we would be years behind and wouldn't be able to adapt our intervention efforts as quickly as we do. So last year in 2023, we lost 101 people to suicide in Montgomery County. This was up by one person from the year before, so a 1% increase. It is still down from a very rough year that we had in 2019 when we lost 120 people. And we remain below the Pennsylvania rate, right, in Montgomery County. The age group that we are losing most frequently to suicide are elders, are 65 and older. It's interesting because historically that has been the group most at risk. And then after 2007 and the recession, baby boomers became more at risk. But now baby boomers and people over age 65 are the same group. So they are now two high-risk groups that are the same people. So we really need to look out for our older folks. We saw minor increases in the age ranges listed there, 22 to 24, 35 to 44. And we saw decreases in our younger folks. Even the loss of one life of a young person is one too many, but we did see decreases, which was great, as well as in the 25 to 34 age ranges. Our youth suicides remain low, like I said. What we need to keep in mind with the youth, though, are how many attempts that we don't know about, right? Youth who are suffering and having a hard time, and maybe they don't die, which is great, but it doesn't mean that they're okay and they don't still need help. We lose more men than women. That's on match with the national trend. The peak for male suicides tend to be in January and February, and women tend to peak in May. When we're looking out for our young people, it's really around the transitions to school, September and October, and then again in January. And when it comes to preventing suicide death, we really need to be aware of, are there firearms in our home and somebody who is suffering? Can we put a lock on it? Can we put it in a gun case? Can we take it out of the home for a few weeks while that person gets some help and gets better? So overall, what does this data tell us? It tells us, one, it is a good thing to be below the national and state rates. We're doing something in Montgomery County that's working. We have something protective here. On the other side of things, though, it also lets us know there is nobody who is at no risk. There's no such thing as a person who would never kill themselves. We don't have to worry about them. So when it comes to looking out for each other and when it comes to services and supporting each other, suicide prevention is for everybody. So people want to help. How do you help? I'm going to close out by talking about the task force, but the absolute best way to help is to be observant and curious about ourselves and about each other. You don't have to memorize what are the different warning signs. The best thing that you have is your own human instinct. Everybody at some point in time has felt ashamed, alone, scared, or sad, and you can extrapolate out what does that feel like when it doesn't go away, right? But just to keep in mind, when we talk about warning signs, you have your verbal clues. People saying they want to die, or pretty soon you won't have to worry about me, or could you take care of my beloved cat? What do those things mean? This should prompt us to say to them, what do you mean by that? I want to take you seriously. I want to be helpful. Behavioral clues. This is, again, trust your instinct. What's different for that person? Sleeping too much or too little? Suddenly angrier than they usually are? More withdrawn, right? There is the sudden upswing after a period of sadness. We want people to feel better. It usually does not happen overnight. So if you notice that in someone, that is a reason for concern. The next warning signs are situational. Anything that makes a person feel ashamed, like they have lost control of their own lives or like they're completely alone, is something we should be worried about. And then there's this category of spiritual clues, or what we call moral injury. And it's this sense of, I have lost my sense of right and wrong. I thought I knew what the world looked like and my place in it, and I am now off balance, and it doesn't make sense to me anymore. That's very risky as well. We especially see that with our veterans and our first responders. So you've seen the warning signs, now what? So we always say no one has to suffer alone, right? You also don't have to help alone. I put mobile crisis and peer and teen talk line tear-offs on the back here. I'm also going to talk in a minute about 988. If you are worried about someone, you do not have to wait until things have escalated to a burning point to call for help. Call any of those 24/7 numbers and say, I'm worried about my neighbor, I'm worried about my daughter. Can you coach me through a conversation? How do I ask about it? And what do I do if they say, yes, I am thinking about dying? Stay calm, take things seriously, and there's help for you 24/7. These are those numbers. You can call 988 from anywhere in the United States. It'll ring to a registered crisis center. If you are local to Montgomery County, you can call our mobile crisis team, right? 1-855-634-4673. They're available 24/7. They're a hotline, and they can also come out in person. And then for veterans, they can dial 988, and if they press 1, they get to a specialized Veteran Call Center. And you can join the task force. If you are interested in this work on a systems level and making a difference in the community, whoever you are, we need you and we want you. So, like I said, if you see yourself reflected under the people who are on the task force or the partners, come on down. If you don't see yourself reflected, double come on down. It means that we need your perspective, we need your insights and your ideas. And so just to give you a sense, some initiatives that are happening. We have a pinwheel project. I live up in the Pennsburg area, and the VFW by my house has kept their pinwheels and their sign up all year round. And I see them out cleaning it and resituating it, and it's a fantastic way to raise awareness. And so it's a sign that has the 24/7 number, and then it's pinwheels to represent the lives that are lost. The Prothonotary office here at the county did a Cards of Hope campaign for folks that they serve. We do training and education. We're doing movie night in the park with Lower Providence. There's the Peyton Hart Project. If anybody knows how to crochet, I would love to hear from you. We have a bingo night coming up. We have grief support, both through the coroner and mobile crisis, and we have a subcommittee to the task force run by moms who've lost their children, and it's for other family members to join. And then in 2 weeks, you're going to be hearing from my colleagues specifically about all the great stuff they have lined up for Veterans Suicide Prevention Week. So if you think something's missing or if anything there really sparks something in you, please email our task force co-chair, Siobhan. Her email is right there on the slide. And this is just a look at what the sign for the Pinwheel Project looks like. We still have some kits available, so if you happen to be here from a library or you run a business and you have a little space out front and you wanted to put it up, please feel free to contact Siobhan and we'll get you a kit and help you get all set up. And that's really all that I had to say. I think the biggest takeaways when it comes to suicide prevention is that when we look out for each other, when we pay attention, when we look out for ourselves and we take it seriously and we stay calm, there is a lot of hope and there is a lot of help. And please never hesitate to call any of those numbers there.
Thank you for your presentation. And, you know, it was interesting, I was talking to the coroner recently, and she had shared just the number of seniors that have committed suicide, unfortunately. And it's just, it's unfortunate anyone that's in a situation where they feel the need to take their lives. Just want to make sure that they know that there are resources and places that can help. So thank you for bringing awareness to that. I think we are planning pinwheels on Friday, tomorrow, on the courthouse lawn. So look forward to participating in that. So thank you for being here. Any other comments?
I just want to make a quick comment. Thank you for everything that you're doing and everyone that's involved. You know, it's disheartening when you see those type of statistics or those numbers. But it would also be good to actually talk about the number of lives that were saved, if you know, because that just also demonstrates all the good work that everyone that's doing and all the programs that are in place, that it's actually having, I believe, a positive impact. So I don't know if you know that number or if there's a percentage that you know that we were able to prevent a suicide is also something that should be lifted up.
That is a really hard number to give because so often suicide attempts go unreported.
Mm-hmm.
But we do know things like our veterans response team have served 120 veterans so far, and we have not lost one to suicide who's been served by that team, right? Or we know that our mobile crisis team takes thousands of calls a year,
Right.
Thousands. And of the people who they have served, they have not lost somebody who was actively being served by the mobile crisis team. There's the Pennsylvania annual youth survey data that gets, it's a survey that goes out to the youth in the schools. And we know that their rates of depression and daily sadness are going up, which is a sad thing. We
Right.
also know at the same time, though, our youth suicide rates are not going up. So something successful is happening before it gets to the point that then that youth is lost and there is no hope past it. So trying to find a way to better track and understand attempts is like the wish list of all data wish lists, but.
Yeah, but I mean, even though you don't have an exact number, everything that you just said is so positive. I mean, it demonstrates that, you know, the hard work of everyone that it's actually having an impact. So even though we lost 101 people in 23, you know, that number could have been a lot higher if we didn't have all the services and all the people dedicated to being there when they got that phone call. So I just want to, you know, point that out and say there is a positive with everything that's going on with this.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Yep. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All right, next up, we'll do a presentation on National Preparedness Month.
Morning, everyone.
Thank you for being here.
Morning, Commissioner. Sure. For everyone that doesn't know me, my name is Brian McCown, and I am the Interim Director for the Montgomery County Department of Public Safety. I'd like to thank the Commissioners for having me here today to speak on such an important topic of emergency preparedness. So once the presentation begins, what you'll see scrolling is pictures of actual incidents located throughout Montgomery County over the past few years. This is just a reminder that emergencies happen everywhere, including in your own backyard, and often when you least expect them. September is National Preparedness Month, an annual campaign focused on reminding everyone that preparing for emergencies and disasters can keep you, your family, and your community safe. This year's theme is Start a Conversation. This week also marks the 3-year anniversary of Hurricane Ida's arrival in Montgomery County. And there's perhaps no better recent reminder of the importance of emergency preparedness than that. Unfortunately, it's not a question of if we will experience another storm like Ida here in our county, it is of when. So what is preparedness? Put simply, it's thinking about what types of hazards might affect you and your family and taking some steps and time to protect yourselves and your property. Now, while at the Department of Public Safety, we have thousands of pages of plans that lay out procedures for responding to dozens of types of emergencies and disasters, we certainly don't expect everyone to be that thorough. Here's a few easy things that you can do. First, start a conversation with your family. Talk about hazards that might affect you at your home, where you work, and where you go to school. Weather-related hazards like floods and winter storms often come to mind and are an excellent place to start. However, don't forget about human-caused emergencies like hazardous materials releases, major traffic accidents, or active shooters. Second, discuss how you will stay informed and research available resources. You can sign up for Ready Monco, our county's emergency notification system, at readymonco.org. Many apps offer weather alerts, and your child's school or your workplace may have a system that you need to opt into in order to receive messages. Third, talk about where you'll go during an emergency. This might mean staying put or sheltering in place, at home, work, or at school. Or it could mean evacuating to another location, either near or far. It will of course depend on the type of emergency, like a tornado warning, which will send you to the basement, while a flood warning will keep you high up and out of harm's way. Fourth, consider what you'll need to take with you. While a standing emergency kit is ideal, we realize that creating and maintaining one is often expensive and may be unreasonable with items that are either perishable or have an expiration date. However, creating an emergency list is a great step to take to ensure you'll grab all the right things when the time comes. Emergencies and disasters are typically extremely stressful, and usually there won't be time to brainstorm all the things you'll need to function for a few days. This list will help you pack all of the essentials quickly. Finally, talk about how you'll communicate. If your phone is lost or destroyed, do you know your email password so you can log in from a library or friend's computer? Do you have key phone numbers memorized or written down so you can make contact with a family from a borrowed phone? These are just a few simple ideas and thoughts that you can utilize to help you and your family stay better prepared. And it all begins with starting a conversation. Up on the screen now are some resources that you can reference to get more information, including the county's Ready Monco website at readymonco.org, and also the U.S. Department of Homeland Security preparedness website, ready.gov, and then a reference to September's initiative of Start a Conversation there at ready.gov/September. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security's website has a ton of great resources for putting a plan together in multiple languages, ideas for kits, and other resources that help you down that path if you're looking for some guidance. I want to give a big thank you to Todd Steeritz, who's our Deputy Director for Public Affairs for the Department of Public Safety, for putting this information together, and for having me here today, Commissioners. We hope everyone in Montgomery County can at least take a few minutes during the month of September to become better prepared, and if nothing else, start a conversation.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
You know, I oftentimes talk to my husband about this. There's this tree in our front yard, right, that we know is dead,
Trees are dangerous.
that we have to, you
Yeah.
know, we have to cut down, right? And it could, like, if there was another storm, it could fall on the house, right? So
We see
you
that
are
all the
now
time.
reminding me
Yes.
to be prepared.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, it's those types of things that you need to be thinking about.
Just take an extra second to look at things just like that, exactly.
I also want to say that Brian is on the list to be approved, to be promoted, and move from interim to the Director of Public Safety. And so I know we still have board action to happen, but while you're up here, I'm really excited to make it official, hopefully today. So
Great. Thank you.
thank you for all your hard work stepping
course.
in and leading the team in the interim. So
Absolutely, you're
fingers
welcome.
crossed, we'll get through the vote.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Brian. All right, next up, public comment, and this section of public comment is for today's pending votes, resolutions, bids, RFPs, and contracts, and we're gonna limit that to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
We do. David Moore did.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Morgan from Ambler. I'm thankful that we did hear about the Planning Commission budget last meeting, and I'm glad for that transparency goal. And so I'm interested, though, some of the items in that presentation relate to Ridge Pike, and what comes to mind is assets and infrastructure. So I think, what about the assets and infrastructure budget? What can we see are the items that are going into that large part of spending? Because as I'm here as a taxpayer, wanting to know how we can deal with it. Now, that is listed, going to the specific items today for votes. Assets and infrastructure items are what, in Exhibit B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those 5 are in that category. So in the presentation last week, I was thinking to myself, planner's plan and the execution of maintaining of assets and infrastructure is in a different category, buildings, and includes trails too. So part of these today are about, let's see, it's office furniture, there's engineering services. So just to make sure that we taxpayers know all the spending, where it is, if it's assets and infrastructure correctly. The Planning Commission budget also has part of, in the general budget for salaries, I understand. I asked Mr. France about that, and he sent me an email saying there's $6 million or so for that. And then I have a question also about, in understanding these things, looking up on Storybook was mentioned. Now, I went to the computer and tried Storybook, and I couldn't find too much going with that word. So maybe there's another section or button we can hit so we can see all of the expending. I'm also concerned about the spending coming up, because we have just paid school taxes. We're looking forward to November, knowing the new budget for the new year and how much up or down our costs might be. But I just want to caution about any new money bond issues that might come along, because we had debt service of $12.8 million by the last new money bond issue going up to 2043. So a new one rings a bell, maybe more tax increases, and we've had 34% in the last 4 years. So I'm just watching as a citizen, how can we address taxes, save? And as you recall, in the beginning of the year, I cited this article in the Reporter about Bucks County commissioners declaring that there are no anticipated tax increases till 2030, which is, I have a copy if you want to see that later. So that would be wonderful if we can keep it going, so there would be no tax increases. Maybe finding $30 million, as I mentioned, in savings somehow along the way, so that we can keep the 30% not translating to a 13% increase we just saw. Then also another thing is human resources mentioned later on in these numbers, numbers 7 and 8, and that term is concerning to me. I mentioned before, I like the term resourceful humans, or even better, the term personnel, because it's more personal. So when we talk about humans as resources, we wouldn't want to call our child a human resource, or maid a human resource, or anybody else we know, I think. And so if we can think about language use, I'll talk about that more in my other comments coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
You're welcome.
That's it for comment. Okay. All right, next up, I want to move to approval of the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the August 15, 2024 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, I'd like to invite Catherine Halen up to review the personnel list. See, Mr. Morgan? Personnel.
Hey, there we go.
There you go. All right.
Good morning, Commissioners. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Commissioners Department's personnel list. It is a 3-page document dated September 4th, 2024, with a timestamp of 12:08 p.m. These transactions have been reviewed by management and are now presented for your consideration.
Great. I'd like to make a motion to approve the September 5th, 2024 personnel presentation as given by Ms. Catherine Halen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makisha. Any board comments? Moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up, advertisement of bids and RFPs, Montgomery County Exhibit A. I'd like to make a motion to approve the advertisement of bids and RFPs for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit A. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Hearing none, moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, awards of contract, Montgomery County Exhibit B. I'd like to make a motion to approve the contracts, awards, amendments, and renewals for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit B. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, awards of contract, Southeast PA Regional Task Force, Exhibit C. I'd like to make a motion to approve the contracts, awards, amendments, and renewals for Southeast PA Regional Task Force on attached Exhibit C. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there, seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, general public comment, limited to 3 minutes. This is focused on matters that are or may be before the Board of Commissioners. And all public comments must be relevant or germane to county business.
Okay, first up, Carmina
Taylor.
Oh, Taylor, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Where do I begin? Now?
You can be,
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good to see you, Tom. I wanted to introduce myself and my program in Montgomery County. My name is Carmina Taylor, and for the last 5 years, I've been facilitating the Montgomery County Culture Proficiency and Equity Student Ambassadors Program. It's currently in 7 school districts in Montgomery County: Cheltenham, Abington, Norristown, North Penn, Hatboro, Horsham, Lower Moreland, and Upper Moreland. We focus on the tenets of cultural proficiency, social justice, educational equity, leadership, and citizenship. I am here today to let the Board of Commissioners know that our theme for this year is Why Leadership Matters. We are going to have a countywide equity summit at Norristown, Saturday, April 26th. I'm extending an invitation to the 3 of you because this year, as part of our projects, we have a school project where the kids infuse the outcomes of their belonging surveys that their schools administer to change or alter or improve the school culture. But this year we're adding a community project where they take what they're doing inside, bring it outside, and bring their community together. And I think it would be very, very important for us to all come together as a community at the Equity Summit. So I wanted to really express the importance of how you guys lead this county and how the students view you. So part of their assignments in between their in-person sessions will be watching your county meetings. So I hope that in the future we remain respectful to one another, respectful to leadership, because it's really important to be the standard bearer. They also will be reviewing or viewing their school board meetings as well as attending some. We're at a time now where we have to look at each other as human beings. And we have to look at each other as neighbors no matter what, whether we're from the western side of the county or the eastern side of the county. And bringing everyone together for the county summit is so apropos and so relevant. I've been doing this work since I was 16 years old as a Wissahickon student. I've been a parent in Wissahickon, and I am a fervent advocate in this county. And so I really wanted to introduce myself to you, Neil, because I don't think I've met you personally. Tom knows me very well from his role and leadership at Springford, and Jamila as well. So I'm here for the duration, and I will formally email you guys a specific invitation to come to the summit. It's a good time to be leaders. It's a good time to share that with our students in this county. 21 seconds.
Great. It's impressive. Thank
Tom, do
you.
you have any comment? Oh,
Thank you.
you're
Thank
supposed
you.
to say that.
Carmina, I'm just curious, why'd you take your glasses off? I loved them.
Because it's not appropriate. Is this being filmed?
Oh, you look
Because I don't think it would be appropriate for me to wear my sunglasses while I was talking.
Well, they look good on you.
Thank you.
Well, I always enjoyed your
Thank you.
stuff that you did in the past, so I just wanted to make sure you said April.
It is April 26, 2025.
Okay, well, yeah, so I look forward to, hopefully I could be there.
No, I'm sure, because it's months in advance.
Oh, well.
No pressure.
That's why I
No
came
pressure, right?
today. That's why I came
And I think
today.
I think your students will be pleasantly surprised, because even though we may not agree on everything all the time, I think that the three of us respect each other and we enjoy working with each other, so I think that will come out
And I
as well.
hope so. I mean, civil discourse right now is really, really important. And as leaders in the county, I think it's really, really important to demonstrate that, to agree to disagree. But no matter what, to expect the leadership that's in place, respect each other. And just remember, there's no I in team. I heard a lot of I's today instead of we's. So I just want to express that. I'm really, really, you know how passionate I am about public education and students and young people. And they need all of us right now.
Thank you, Carmina. We'll look for that invite. And I actually had the pleasure of attending, I think it was this spring at Norristown Area High School, and seeing that program in the works. I just sat in the background and just watched the students deliver on their projects. So quite impressive. And, you know, we need equity in all of our systems and structures. So thank you for leading the charge there. So we'll look forward to the invite.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
being
My
here.
students are
And it's on
brilliant.
the calendar.
Huh?
It's on the calendar. It's a Sunday, right?
No, that should be a Saturday.
That's a Saturday.
Okay, got it. That's,
All right.
Just remember my
Plenty of
face, Neil.
That's right. Next up for public comment?
Next up, we have David Morgan.
David Morgan from Ambler, and kind of going along with what we just heard from Ms. Taylor is I'm bringing out, again, I talked about good outcomes last meeting, and I talked about the 4 sources the county can promote, like pregnancy resource centers when it comes to birth success. The Montgomery program, of course, has good birth outcomes as part of the statement there, federally qualified health clinics, and adoption. So I'd like to continue to expand on that today, mentioning that human beings are very worthwhile. We're finding that the unborn child gets marginalized a lot. There's talk about reproductive rights, et cetera, but what about the rights of the unborn child? We know from science ultrasound since the 1990s that we have unique, well, we know there's a unique DNA, but the science ultrasound showed Children's Hospital website, heartbeat at 4 weeks, arms and legs develop 4 to 8 weeks with fingers and toes in formation, and then fully formed by 12 weeks in the first trimester of the child. So that means just like us. So I'd like to mention, once again, my concern was someone mentioned about the fact that the $699 million given to Planned Parenthood every year is not supposed to be for abortion of the human being. I tend to use abortion of the human being because they're human. But it enables it to be there with lights being on and with secretarial help or whatever else is going to be going on at that enterprise. And we find that, as I mentioned, the statistics show a huge amount of death instead of parenthood, and we have like 390,000 versus 6,300 prenatal care visits. We have 1,700 adoption referrals, and there are miscarriages, about 4,000 that happen, which you can't control. But anyway, that's on page 24 of the Planned Parenthood report. It's not my making up the numbers. You can look them up on that. It's very easy to look them up. And page 27 talks about the $699 million of our money, plus $754 million from contributions and bequests. So those outcomes, if a woman becomes pregnant and goes visits there, are concerning with a 97%. I like to see more 100% life, to see more adoption, more prenatal care visits. And you're talking with people in your political associations to advocate as we know, Montgomery is so successful in promoting life, why not promote life more? Visiting with the vice president or whoever. And so looking for where's the parenthood. And then we have a person who's done really well, the 7-month pregnant archer in the Paralympics, Jodie Grintham. We have new things we could do in the county too, is have safe haven, if we don't have it yet, boxes. If someone has a baby and they don't know what to do with it, or parking for pregnant moms, they can get closer to facilities, and that we're giving the utmost care to mothers and their children. That
Thank
we
you,
love
Mr. Morgan.
both, and that they're wonderfully made, as the Bible would say.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. I just so happen to be going tonight to a Black Maternal Health Summit. So I'm going there tonight. And I know that I personally have spent time really understanding the issue of a woman's right to choose and the issues that are affecting members of our community as it relates to maternal health. And so I just want to echo just my perspective is that, a woman should really be able to choose what they're going to do with their body and whether they want to start a family or not, or choose to go through having a child. So while I appreciate your perspective always, and that's the beauty of this dialogue, I just wanted to share that with the broader audience. So thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Right.
Next up.
Teresa Brown Paris.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Commissioners. I am Teresa Brown Paris out of Conshohocken, and I am with Norristown Local. I am here to invite you all, after a very taxing week at work, to invite you out to the kickoff of First Fridays Norristown. That's going to be starting tomorrow. We're going to be gathering at El Jefe, where we're going to have vendors in, so you can come in and shop the local businesses and the vendors also. And it's going to be an ongoing event each Friday, monthly, at different places, businesses here in Norristown. So you, your staff, and all the community members and the nationals here, folks here, please come on out and join us at El Jefe tomorrow evening from 4 to 8.
Great. They have great margaritas. Will they?
Yes, they do. And tacos.
You could have started with the food first.
Sometimes after a long week.
Right.
So thank you for the.
So we're going to have local crafters there, arts and craft artisans, so they'll be able there to share their products and services with you guys also.
Okay.
Is this gonna be weekly for the next month, or is it just
No,
tomorrow
it's
night, the only
actually going
night?
to be monthly.
Monthly?
Monthly, yes. And it's going to be at different places, as they learn about it, they'll come on board and they're going to each offer maybe a product or service or a special menu item. But we'll have vendors at the places that invite vendors to come in and sit up there.
Well, just don't schedule anything April 26th, because we're booked.
I know, right? No, but that's a Saturday,
That's a
that's
Saturday.
in the month. This is just first Friday, just one day. We're inviting you to stay after.
Well, I'm
later
bummed, because
afterwards.
I have something in Pottstown tomorrow night that I'm going to, but I would love to be there, but I look forward to next month.
You can stop by
I'm
on
trying.
your way out of town.
Right. I don't know, if we start having those margaritas, we may stay.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. I appreciate it. Any other comments?
Next up is Linda Weaver.
Good morning. Linda Weaver, Limerick Township. First of all, as a retired 41-year public school educator, I want to thank you for your investment in our greatest natural resources, which are our children. Thank you for your investment in their care, in their being fed, and I hope that we can do something to make sure we're investing in their safety once they're in the classroom. So thank you, and I hope we continue to see the kind of supports that you're giving to all of our human resources in Montgomery County.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
That's it for public comment.
All right. Any closing commissioner comments?
I just have one I want to bring up. A couple weeks ago, I was up at visit Camp Rainbow. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but it's a county-owned facility. And it's in a dire situation of the current state that it's in. I know that the county did an engineering study of the facility. They came back with recommendations, and I was really trying to figure out you know, what and how we could possibly do something there. It's a hidden jewel of Montgomery County. It serves so many students or kids from a lot of the area, but more importantly, it serves children from homes that are not necessarily able to send their kids to experience the camp environment, as well as it has tremendous positive impact on you know, our kids. They do 5 to 6 weeks a year, and they average about 60 to 70 kids per week, coming from, you know, actually a lot come from the Norristown area, which is, it's great that they'll be able to get there and experience it. I really didn't know how, a way we could potentially help them, but then this week I had a meeting, and I was getting an update on the ARPA funds and the $160 million that the county received from the federal government a couple of years ago, related to the culvert relief, I guess you would say. And I went through that spreadsheet, and, you know, some of the, I'm not gonna I don't like to ever question previous decisions by boards, so I'm not going to do that. But when I went through that list, and I thought about, is there a way that we could potentially use some of the ARPA funds that could be available to invest into that campground. I think that it's a benefit that once we enhance it, I think that not only could it be used for the purpose that it's being used for now, but we could actually look and expand those purposes as well in the future. So I think that we should seriously consider that. Again, it's a camp. It's called Camp Rainbow. If you're not familiar with it, or, you know, if nobody's familiar with it. I was really, I've known about it, and when I got up there to tour it and go through the facilities, the buildings, I was just amazed how we have let that get to the point that it's at. So I think that we have an opportunity to take these ARPA funds. This is what those ARPA funds should be used for. So I think that we could redirect some of that money to reinvest back into Camp Rainbow. And I know that the thousands of kids that went through that in the past and the thousands of kids that could go through it again in the future would be greatly appreciative of providing that upgrade to that facility.
Lee, can you give a little bit more context? Thanks for those comments. A little bit more context of like the county's history with camp. No, we don't have all day, but I mean, I've been on some calls about Camp Rainbow, but just for.
Yep, it's a large property the county's owned. I actually don't know when the county began to own it, but it's
70 years ago.
Yeah, it's quite a long time, and the camp occupies it for the summer months of the year. We have the county staff, public property, and assets and infrastructure have maintained that camp for all of these years, and it's true, the infrastructure there is aging. I mean, it's old. They have always taken care of the life safety issues and made sure that camp is in as good a shape as it can be to continue to provide the experience that it does. We did commission an engineering study to get an assessment of all of the infrastructure there at the camp to understand what it would take if the decision was made to fully upgrade that facility. Everything on it is about the same age, so it's all aging out. We've received outreach from the state delegation and their interest in helping to fund potentially upgrades at the camp, and also discussions with the operators of Camp Rainbow of potentially assuming ownership of the camp. So there's the discussions to have about what role the county wants to continue to play, and what role Camp Rainbow as an organization wants to play in continuing their mission and serving the underserved children in Montgomery County.
So it's a property that we own. We're allocating current resources to maintain the grounds from like assets and infrastructure, right?
We maintain 100% of the capital
Got it.
upgrades and
Okay.
costs associated with the buildings there, yeah.
Yeah, I think we generally, I think Commissioner DeBello, that's a really good point. We should, you're probably looking at a similar spreadsheet that I'm looking at. We did receive significant ARPA dollars that need to be obligated by a certain time frame. We certainly have internal priorities, right, that we have a responsibility to address as a county, whether it's affordable housing, homelessness, but we should look at, all of the needs, because there are organizations that have been coming to us asking, I had a call from, the YMCA, right, to support some infrastructure challenges that they have. And so we have to make some tough decisions on, where do we spend a limited number of resources. So thank you for raising Camp Rainbow.
On the
and-
ARPA point in particular, I just want to
Yeah.
add, because it's been a while since we've talked about what the demand in those funds were. It was $161 million originally that the county received, and we've received well over $1 billion in requests. So there were $1 billion of other very good ideas in there. It wasn't that necessarily the 161 were all better than the ones that weren't, and certainly Camp Rainbow was on, in consideration for that, but there are a lot of good projects that are still good projects, but just not quite enough money to go around.
Yeah, got it. Any other comments? All right, hearing none. Upcoming meeting dates, Board of Election meeting will be immediately following Salary Board. The next Board of Commissioners meeting will be actually Wednesday, September 18th at 10 a.m. So, Mr. Morgan, put that in your calendar so you don't miss it. Wednesday, September 18th. I can always count on you to be here, so thank you for being here. All right, next up, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the September 5th, 2024 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner McKeesia. Any board comment? All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Next up, welcome our controller.
I was just getting comfortable. Yeah, no.
Good morning. All right, any public comments for Salary Board? No? Okay, all right. I'd like to invite Catherine Halen up.
Good morning, Salary Board members. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Salary Board list. The list consists of new positions, new hires, other transactions, and a listing of employees going off roll. It is a 4-page document dated September 4th, 2024, with a timestamp of 12:08. All transactions have been reviewed by management and are now presented for your consideration.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the September 5th Salary Board presentation as given by Ms. Catherine Halen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Controller Sanchez. Any board comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the September 5th, 2024 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board. I was going to say Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Controller Sanchez. Any board comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.